Well, good evening. Thank you for being here with me tonight. We are discussing tonight real estate principles and real estate practice. You could be in either one of those two classes. The content is different in the two classes, but you'll see tonight that the layout, the structure, the point system is all very, very similar. And the reason that is, honestly, is because over the years, I've kind of tweaked here and there, and I've kind of have found out, sorry, my dog. I've found kind of, I feel like a good system that works for me and works well for students. And so I copy that same system over to my other classes. So whether you're in real estate principles or real estate practices, we are going to be talking about, again, the content would be different in these two classes, but the way that it's structured, the point system, Canvas, the syllabus, are going to look almost identical for both of them outside of the content. So thanks again for being here. My goal for you tonight, I want to give you a little bit of information on me, just to give you some background and know where I'm coming from. And hopefully in that conversation, you can get a glimpse of like, oh, I never thought of doing that in real estate, or I didn't know that was possible, or what else can you do in real estate? And so I feel like I have kind of a non-traditional way that I came into the industry. Secondly, I want to make sure that you are super clear on what is required of you in this class. I like to make sure that expectations are very clear and so you know what to do after this evening, especially for the rest of this week one and then for the next 8 weeks total in our class. The third part, sorry, I want to chat with you about how to succeed in this class. Whatever your goal is in this class, I want to help support you. So if your goal is to get an A, I'm going to show you tonight exactly how to get an A. If your goal is just to pass because you want credit for the Department of Real Estate, and you've got, a full-time job and a part-time job, and you're taking care of family and everything else, and you just need to pass, I totally respect that. I don't expect everybody in here to get an A or to want to get an A. I want to help you get through this class and meet your goals at the end of the day. So I want to show you exactly how to meet those goals this evening as well. So I'll talk a little bit here for a few minutes, and then I'm going to do some screen sharing. We'll look at Canvas, we'll look at the syllabus, we'll look at the point structure, and all of that that you'll be experiencing both in principles and in practice. All right, my name is Rick Boone. It's good to meet you. I've been teaching full time at IVC for the last 10 years, but prior to that, I worked full time in real estate. And for me, in that full time work experience as a self-employed person selling real estate, overlapping that for a couple of years, I started to teach at nights, actually at Orange Coast College, and found that teaching was just much more fulfilling for me. And so I made the transition from real estate into teaching full time. It took a couple years to get there, but I'm glad to be here. We have an amazing campus at IBC. I have amazing colleagues. We have a lot of services and support for our students. I'm so grateful to be at IVC. When I worked full time in real estate, I did apartment building sales. So just like you would do that, just like you would use an agent to buy or sell a house, I did that with from 2 to 50 apartment buildings, 2 to 50 units, apartment buildings. So my experience in real estate was pretty, I would say a little bit more business-like as opposed to maybe more emotional that you might experience in the single family home world. Oftentimes, a lot of my business and my phone calls were to banks and to escrow companies and title companies, in addition to my actual clients. And so a lot of my work was more 9 to 5. I would take some calls maybe in the evenings, but in those 9 years, I only worked one Saturday. And so I bring some of this up to kind of give you just a little bit of a light, um, so that you can see, oh, hey, it doesn't have to be one way. There is no one way to do this industry. And so long as you can be creative, I really encourage my students to find a niche market that you enjoy, so that whether you're making little money or you're making a lot of money, and real estate is cyclical, you're enjoying what you're doing. And ultimately, I hope you find what it is that's fulfilling for you, in and whatever that is in the real estate industry. So there's a lot of different ways to do real estate. I enjoyed the investment side of it and more kind of commercial slash residential kind of mix there. During my work in real estate, I realized I did have a bachelor's degree, but I never took business classes, so I didn't really know how to run a business, but I was doing it. And so I decided to go back to school and learn more about business. And so I did complete my master's of business at Cal State Fullerton. And it was overlapping that as I started teaching, really like realizing, oh, learning this business stuff is pretty important for my own business. It also then allowed me to teach more business too. And so coming into this industry, realize that this is not about a quick deal. It's not about a quick, transaction and you're going to make all the money in the world. It is a business. And so if you come into this industry looking at this as a business, hopefully that can help lead you to more success down the road. As I committed to higher education, I worked for a university for 4 years, more as an administrative role or roles. That university happened to have a doctorate degree, so I completed my doctorate at the 4-year university, and that is in organizational leadership. And so, hopefully, all these different experiences are going to benefit you coming through this class. One, I'm bringing real life perspective to real estate stuff. You're going to be reading about the book and reading about the theory and reading about the law and the definitions. In my video lectures, I'm giving you a lot of real life application to these ideas. And hopefully, that helps you remember them more and brings a little bit more meaning to the class for you. Of course, you're going to be prepping for the quizzes and prepping for the final exam and those kind of things. But I want this class to be purposeful, not just about maybe jumping through a hoop to get the requirement out of the way, if you will. Also, in my experience from business and in teaching business, I really try to overlap that into this information. So it's not just about the theory and law of real estate. It's about slowly preparing you to understand the business side of this industry. Um, what I love about business classes, if you have the opportunity to take business classes, is that you can use those skills in every industry, whether it be real estate, opening up some sort of storefront or running an online business, or as an employee for any industry, you're going to be using business skills in some way or another. And so, again, hopefully all these different pieces can come and layer in for you to make this a really useful class for you. I hope you leave this class and say, "Oh, that was the best class ever. Man, I loved my professor." I mean, that's my hope. I hope you have an awesome experience here. So that gives you a little bit of information about me, where I'm coming from. I will gonna go ahead and start sharing screen here, and then we're gonna take a look at Canvas. I want to make it super clear. I have students sometimes in these classes that are in high school. I have sometimes in these students maybe in a second or third career, or maybe retired at 60 or 70. And we're all going to be learning this together. And so, no matter what level you're coming in to this class, whether knowledge of real estate or experience in real estate, maybe buying or selling yourself, maybe you've never owned anything before, maybe you've never even seen Canvas before, I want to make sure you're coming in knowing exactly what's expected of you and how to access this information. So let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to be looking at the shell here of principles. But again, if you look at your practice shell, it's going to look identical to this. If you have questions along the way, again, please feel free to use that chat, and I'll be checking for those. You'll see right here in the home page when you log in, the menu on the left is super, super simple, and this isn't even supposed to be there. I don't even know what that is. So you only have 4 links basically on here. It's simple on purpose. I want this to be very easy for you to navigate, and I want to send you one place to get your information. And this is it. And so here on our home page, you'll see that there's an update on these announcements. I'm hoping, whether you're here live or you're watching this recorded, that you've gotten this information in your email as well. If you have not, I want to encourage you over to this account button. Here is the button called notifications. Now, I'm a fake student right now, so I can't really click on this. But when you click on notifications, you get to control how you get your information. You can select on here if you want to get notified by email or by text immediately when something happens, at the end of the day after it happens, the end of the week. You get to control your information. And so please do get in there and update those settings so that when an announcement comes out, you're able to see it. So here's an overview. You should have seen these already, but they're here for your review. Those announcements are also, live right here under this link. On this home page, you'll also see the registration link, and we'll look at this tonight as well, so you're clear on what that looks like in buying your book, your digital version of the book. We'll take a look at the syllabus, as I mentioned. This is a link to my Zoom classroom. You're in my room right now. I do have office hours on campus, live in my office from 3 to 5 on Tuesdays. And then also on Zoom, I'm available from 10 to 1. I really want to encourage you, though, to please email me. My email is right here. If you have questions along the way, if you want to meet, please send me an email. Coming out of business, coming out of self-employment for so many years, I do check my email often and I try to reply pretty quickly. So if you have a question that pops up, don't think like, oh, I got to wait till next Tuesday to ask Rick a question. No, send me an email. If you want to do some face-to-face time, that would be great as well. I can schedule that with you, and that way I'm making sure I'm meeting your needs. One of the great benefits I really enjoy about teaching community college is the fact that my whole job is teaching you and helping you learn. And so this idea, a question comes up, email me. I want to tech support on the IBC website for the IBC stuff. Tech support for our digital virtual book is here listed out. Phone number, website, email. So here's a lot of options here if you have any issue with your learning environment with the book. What's great about Canvas and this digital book is that if you, whatever smart device you have, it's a laptop or a tablet or your smartphone, you can get all this information digitally. That's one of the reasons I really love these systems to give you flexibility in your learning with whatever device you already have. So again, we'll look at the syllabus. We'll look at this registration link in just a moment. I wanted to point to our number one link over here on the menu called modules. This is where all of the meat is for our class, and it's broken down week by week. Actually, let me go back for a quick second. This homepage does give you every single assignment in our class in one shot. This might look overwhelming for you. It's giving you 8 weeks of work here in one scroll. So if that's overwhelming, we'll look at the modules here. But I just wanted to let you know everything for the class is scheduled up front. Every due date, every assignment you'll see is in this Canvas shell. I try to work pretty hard to make sure everything's lined up at the beginning of the classes. It just makes the class run more smoothly over the next 8 weeks. So as we look in these modules, I do have an orientation here for you. Some of these short videos just give you an overview of what the college and department is doing for you. There's also some support. So here's that Canvas tech support information, information on Great River Learning. You can refer back to how to log in or get help from them. There's also, well, that's funny. There's also this recording will be here. This is the one from last semester. There is an orientation assessment that I have you do this week, and this just kind of makes sure that you are prepared and ready to go for this class, that you know all the requirements, that you understand what your responsibilities are. You can take this over and over again. It's worth 10 points, an easy 10 points for you there. You'll see again that these modules are broken down week by week. Here's your login for the GRL for your book. We are covering 2 chapters this week, so please do get in there and get access into that virtual book as soon as possible. I'll make the note here that when you get in to the book and you start reading, it has a little bit of an interactive nature to it. It's not just a flat page. When you're reading, it might have links that take you to alternative resources. And at the end of each page, it has what we call a knowledge check. And so it just allows you to read through a page, kind of do a review question about that page of knowledge. And then you go to page 2, read it, knowledge check. Page 3, read it, knowledge check. Those knowledge checks at the ends of each page are not graded. You don't have to do them. They are there just to help you in your learning process as you read through the book content. At the end of each chapter is a chapter quiz. And so you'll see in here in Canvas, I have a placeholder here for chapters 1 and 2 quiz and the due date. So it's scheduled out for us that we're doing 2 chapters a week. and you'll see here the due date for those two chapters. These points, however, will not come into Canvas automatically at this point. You will be able to see them in this Great River Learning, this GRL system. So as you complete the chapter quizzes, you will see a separate grade book in that GRL system to make sure that you're maxing out your points there as well. At the end of this class, I transport, unfortunately, I have to do it manually at this point. I transport all of those points from GRL into Canvas. So by the end of the class, all of your points will be in Canvas. But in the middle of the class, you'll see points both in Canvas and in GRL. Here's week two, again covering two chapters, some videos for you to watch regarding the content. The discussion board. I didn't talk about the discussion board yet. Let's go ahead and jump in. The first one is an easy concept. I'm just asking you to introduce yourself to your class like we might do in a live class. You'll see in this discussion board that there is a due date of this Thursday. We're going to look at this criteria. So every discussion board, I give you a question. They don't all look this long. I usually ask for your opinion. So what's great about these discussion boards is that there is no right or wrong answer. I'm only asking you the why. Please answer this question and give me your why. Just like if we were conversing in person, I want to understand why you would do choice A instead of choice B. I'm just looking for an interaction here. And so you'll see your initial post due Thursday is worth 5 points. And here's an idea. Again, largely I'm looking for a quality response. I'm looking for the why behind your answer, but I do give you some sort of quantity uh, uh, way to earn your points here as well. So if you were to say, I agree, and then turn around and walk out the room, like that doesn't give me any information, right? That doesn't tell me about your why. That's not like a quality interaction. That's going to be 0 points in this rubric. 1 to 2 sentences, again, giving more information. So you'll see this 5 points if you want to earn the maximum amount of points. It is up to you. We're looking for 3 to 4 well-written sentences. And again, I'm really looking for that interactive kind of response of why you believe that. The second 5 points for this discussion board comes from your responses to your classmates. And so the first initial post is due by Thursday night. And then you need to respond to two additional classmates in the class. And those responses are worth another 5 points. So the discussion board's not hard. Again, there's no right or wrong answer so long as you're explaining yourself. And it does take some time, it takes some commitment. You might need to do some reading in the book or do some Googling, and you're going to have to form your own opinion about this question. Again, week one is just a matter of introducing yourself, but you want to make a knowledgeable response, right, in your discussion post here, and then be able to have a conversation with other classmates in the class, just like we would do in an on-ground environment. So that's the discussion board. You'll see that, and I'm sorry, going back to our modules tab here on the left, you'll see as we hit week two, we have another two chapters. We have some lecture videos. We have another discussion board prompt. And here's your quizzes due that week. Again, principles or practice, this is going to look nearly identical, except these questions and these content is going to be different. Week three, here we go again, lecture videos, discussion board post, chapter quizzes. And then in week three, after you get a little ramped up into the class, I add in an exercise here. All of my assignments are not meant to be difficult. They should basically encourage you to, again, form your own opinion, be able to explain why. And again, they're not meant to be hard. These exercises give you step-by-step clear directions on what to do, and you just need to follow the directions to do that. So it's my way of encouraging you to kind of get your hands dirty, if you will. You're learning about the theory, you're learning about the law, you're doing some research and reading for the discussion board post, and then in this exercise, you're looking at some real world examples of the stuff that we're learning about in the book. So here it is, week by week. Here are the modules and what you have to accomplish. I do send reminders every Monday morning on what has to be done that week, but this is an easy way for you to come in and check on your own as well. So under the home page, we saw every assignment listed out chronologically. In the modules page, we see every week, every assignment scheduled out week by week. Next up, I would like to look at the syllabus. And that's going to give us one more perspective on your assignments that are due. And then we'll also talk about, like I mentioned, how to accomplish your goals. If you want to get an A, I want to show you exactly how to do that. Please excuse me, there it goes. I'm going to scroll real quick. So this is the last page. We're going to go backwards in the syllabus here. But here's excuse me, our last page. This is actually the syllabus for practice. And so we looked at the Canvas shell for principles. We're now looking at the syllabus for practice. But again, these are almost identical except for the topics of the chapters and the content itself. You'll see on this last page of the syllabus, I give you every assignment in the class, but in a one-page sheet. So again, just another perspective, another way to see this information. This is my preferred way to see the information. I want to see a snapshot of it all, but you can refer to the modules, refer to the homepage in Canvas, whatever's helpful for you. The emails that I'll be sending to you weekly, refer to those as well. So here we have a snapshot of our work in this class. So you'll see in week one, just to reiterate, the topics of those chapters, chapter one and chapter two. We've got a chapter reading. We've got the chapter quiz, chapter reading, chapter quiz, discussion board post. Again, we look at week number two, chapters three and four, reading and quiz, discussion board post. Week three, again, we jump in five and six. We jump into that extra exercise here as we progress. But I try to spread those out so it's not too overwhelming back to back. I wait for you to get ramped up and comfortable, excuse me, with what we're doing in the class before we jump into that first exercise here. All right, so that's kind of the snapshot of the work that we're doing in class. So I told you a little bit about me. What is expected of you, as you can see in these assignments? You can see that here. This week, make sure you're getting into Canvas. Step one, I need to see you in Canvas. If I don't see you in Canvas, you've never logged into our class in Canvas, I'm required by law to drop you. So please do get into Canvas and click around, look at the syllabus, check out the assignments. Um, I have to see you. I have to see you in there. Step two, please, if at all possible, get into GRL this week and start doing your reading. I've had a couple students reach out and say, "Oh, I just can't afford the book right now." It's about $50 less than $60 for that virtual book. Um, and I'm okay with you. So we'll talk about points on the next page here. And I'm okay with you doing the reading a little bit late, only because in the chapter quizzes, I allow you to take those quizzes over and over again to earn the most points. So you can come into the quizzes maybe a little bit late, but here's my concern if you get a late start in this week. Here's week one, quiz for two chapters. Here's week two, we've got two more chapters, which means if you don't get your chapters done this week, next week you've got four to cover. And the discussion boards won't do that. The discussion boards involve the whole class, and those have much more rigid open and end times. And so I hope that gives you a kind of a clear picture and gives you a clear kind of, I don't want to say a warning, but I just want you to be open-eyed here in what's required of you in the class and the timing that we have scheduled out here. So to reiterate, the chapter quizzes that you'll be doing in GRL, you can take those over and over again to earn the maximum points. And so here we see the points. If your goal is to get an A in this class, that's exactly what you're going to do. Take these quizzes over and over, get your full 10 points. That's 33% of your grade. A third of your grade is these quizzes. You have total control over getting those done and earning the most points. You'll see the discussion boards here. Those are 10 points each as well. We talked about that on the rubric. That equates to 70 points, 15% of your grade. The exercises, there are four of them. Again, those are spread out every other week, starting in week three. These take a little bit of time again, but they're not meant to be hard. If you can commit that time to answer the questions that are in those exercises, you can totally control these points. That's another 17% of your grade. And so you'll see right there that that is a huge chunk of your grade. And guess what? That is a lot of business. If you show up to work and you get your stuff done every day, or in this class every week, you get your stuff done, most likely you're going to keep your job, unless there's some sort of layoff or something, right? If you're showing up and getting your stuff done, you're going to be okay. Usually, if you want to get a promotion or you want to get an A, you're going to have to work a little bit harder, right? And so I try to mimic my class structures after real world. Here's that final exam, 150 points. Now that's a big chunk. But here's the thing with these real estate classes. As we prepare you to sit for the state exam, for the DRE state exam, that's a multiple choice test. And it's, pass or fail. And so these classes that I've created at IVC are to help slowly prepare you for that process. So this is a big chunk of points. But again, if you're working hard day in and day out, week in, week out, this test means less for your letter grade in this class. Already you can see if you get this stuff done, at least this stuff, and you fail the exam, you're going to be getting credit for the Department of Real Estate. That's how the percentage works out. Now, if you want to get an A in the class, you're going to be working really hard here, and then you're going to be studying up to try to get the most points you can out of the final as well. So again, final exam, multiple choice, online, on a screen, just like the state exam is. It seems like every semester I have a student that asks, "Hey, I don't really care about my grades. I just want study credit for the state. I'm going to do pass, no pass." You have every right to do that. That is something that you control on your end through my site and banner. But I do not suggest it. I have only seen the pass, no pass hurt students. And here's why. If you work really hard in this class and you get an A in the class, you get an A on your transcripts, congratulations. If you select pass, no pass, and you get a 90% in this class, an A, I mark you as a pass. If you get a 70%, I either mark you as a letter grade C for your transcripts, or I mark you as a pass if you select pass, no pass. Here's where we hit an issue though. If you earn a grade of D in this class, I know probably none of you plan on that, right? But sometimes it happens. If you earn a D in this class, the state Department of Real Estate for your salesperson's exam will accept a D for credit. And the reason I know that is because I got a D in my principal's class. What? I can tell you that story if we have time towards the end. But the DRE took that D. If you select pass, no pass, and you get a D in this class, I have to select no pass, which means you will not get credit at the DRE. So if you don't care about your grades, that's fine. I still suggest you earn a letter grade from this class. I don't foresee the pass, no pass helping you in any other way. That's just my personal take. Now that I've said my piece, go do whatever you're going to do. It's up to you. The final exam, I'll make a couple notes as well. Because it's such a big chunk, I know people have test anxiety, and with a multiple choice exam, it can be difficult to select the right answer. It can be confusing. I get that. If you score a less than 60% on your final exam, I do have a retake option. That retake is a second exam. It is not a retake of the same exam over again. Different questions, different answers. It's not the same test. But this is one way that I just give you kind of that second little umph if you have test taking challenges. Maybe there's some crazy tech glitch that doesn't allow you to finish your final exam, or something weird happens. Your Wi-Fi cuts out in the middle. This gives you one last chance option to pass with a 60 or more on the final. As you scroll through the syllabus, you'll see I do have a note here to receive a minimum of 80% on every quiz. This actually is not a limitation. There's an older system where we had a limitation of this. We actually had to set a minimum score. That's not the case in GRL, and that's one of the things I actually like about GRL. However, I leave this note in my syllabus because I want to give you at least a goal here. If you're getting an 80% on every quiz, that sets you up for success towards the end of the class and towards the final exam. And so, although I say you must receive a minimum of 80, that is not a hard and fast rule for your letter grade in this class. I've already talked about the quizzes a little bit. I've talked about the exercises a little bit. And I've talked about the discussion boards, and we showed the rubric here that we all saw together. Especially in week one, when that discussion board closes down on Sunday at midnight, I'm usually really quick to grade that week one discussion board because I want you to go into week two knowing exactly how to right the ship if week one didn't work out well for you. Maybe you missed the mark. It was confusing. You didn't have time. You came in late. Whatever it is, um, early grading here in week one, I make that a priority so that you can work hard again to accomplish your goals. That's what I want for week two and moving forward in the class. Note that I give you a lot of flexibility, excuse me, in this week long module system that I've created here. So in this week, you have about 7 days to get everything done. Your initial discussion board post, that's on Thursday. But pretty much all of your quizzes, when there's an exercise week, it's all in this 7 day period of time. That being said, when that week is over, I do not accept late work. So please do stay on your assignments. I've given you a little bit of hints about the quizzes, talking about the quizzes. Again, you can take those quizzes over and over again to earn the highest points throughout the class. If you're dedicated to getting an A, you're going to want to earn that third of your grade is from those quizzes. Work on those. But, oh, I missed a discussion board. Well, the discussion boards involve the whole class. I can't just open the discussion board for one person. I don't think that's fair. You're going to be standing in a room by yourself, talking to yourself. Nobody else is going to be in there. The exercises, again, I have a rigid late work policy here because what I've seen over and over again too is where students start looking in the past and they want to get an old exercise done and then they miss the next exercise. Or they want to get, a discussion board done and they miss the next one. And so I have kind of this, I give you a lot of flexibility in the week period of time, but at the end of that week, we're starting fresh into the next week. We don't really have time in these 8 weeks to get behind. All right, let's keep scrolling through. The points here, very straightforward. I feel like I've created a very fair system here. Everybody has equal opportunity in this class to earn the grade that you want to earn. And so at the end of this class in Canvas, you have a total column that says a percentage. There are points there. And this is what those percentages equate to. Realize what I'm saying here? I don't give you a grade. This class and your learning and what you get out of it is not about whether or not I like you. This is not a personal, I want you to learn. I want you to reach your goals, but this is built off of your own successes here, just like business, just like real estate. So at the end of the class, in Canvas, if it shows 88%, I'm going to be marking a B for your grade at the end of the class. You get to earn that. And then these are the percentages that equate to those grades. Um, Grading policy, syllabus revision. I almost never have to make changes in the syllabus. So this shouldn't affect you, but there it is. We have, I believe this office just changed their name, but it has the same initials. The idea with this office is that if you're challenged in your learning in some way, they might be able to help you. I mentioned earlier, I'm grateful to be at IVC, and I think we have great support systems for our students. And this is one of them here with support, in addition to here, resources that are available to you. The website has a ton of stuff. Please reference our IVC website. If you want to ask me for help, I'd be glad to help you where I can and try to direct you where the best place would be to go. But just to rattle off a couple, we have an awesome vet center at the campus. If you don't have food, we have a food pantry on campus. You can go pick up food. If you're in an emergency situation and you don't have somewhere to sleep, they have overnight vouchers or hotel vouchers for very short periods of time. Um, there's I've had students have to borrow laptops, Wi-Fi hotspots from the library. Obviously, if you can go to campus, there's a ton of resources on campus, computer stations that are all available to you for free. So we have a ton of resources available, and I just mentioned a couple off the top of my head. If you need help, we are here to help you learn. Please reach out. Again, I already mentioned email for me personally. Here's just some guidelines for emailing. But at the end of the day, what I want to communicate here is email me. If you want to get access to a question, you need a resource, something doesn't make sense, it's confusing for you what you just read in chapter 4, send me an email. Ask me the question in an email, or say, hey, Rick, I really have a couple questions. Can you meet over Zoom? I'm happy to schedule that with you. Please reach out. I'm here to help. Here are the two links that we'll be using for the class. Canvas Dearborn GRL we have not seen yet, but here's the link, and we will walk through that before the end of our hour here. But you have to have access to these two. This is our virtual book that we'll be using for the class. General guidelines, reiterating that you you do need to have the online web access to this content. If you want a digital book or a hard copy book, of course, you can go buy those as well. They just launched a new edition of these books, but I haven't even been able to get a copy of it yet. So it is possible maybe for you if you want to hold a book in your hand and flip it. I get it. You might be able to get this 10th edition or maybe even the 11th edition for cheaper. But this online content access is actually the cheapest way I've been able to get content to my students. It's even cheaper than buying a book, so I rely on this, and it's state approved content. You should have access if you didn't know this to Office 365. That means you get Word and PowerPoint and Excel and all that stuff through your IVC email address. Again, resources are option. Resources are awesome at IVC. You do have the option to drop. At some point, if you know you're going to stop doing your work, I will not drop you. So at the end of Canvas, I've already explained what that total column says. If you stop doing your work halfway through and that column says 50%, I have to give you a letter grade of an F. So if at some point you cannot complete the class, it's on you to drop. Maybe it's past the drop date, or maybe you're feeling overwhelmed. Please reach out. Please email me. Hey, Rick, can you talk? I got some questions. I've found that oftentimes, students, when they're feeling overwhelmed, feel like they're going to fail. And in through conversations, sometimes I might be able to help you kind of see a path out. Like, here are the assignments that's left. Here's what points are left. Here's how I would suggest you complete the rest of the class. And so if you're feeling overwhelmed, please reach out. I can try to help you. If you're going to have to stop, the dropping part is on you. After my bachelor's degree, I really wanted to learn a trade skill, and so I went to Orange Coast College for a welding class. And it was awesome. I was there for a couple days, couple weeks, welding stuff up. This is awesome. This is fun. And then I got really busy at work, and so I stopped going to welding class. And sure enough, a couple years later, I went to apply for my MBA program and pulled my transcripts at OCC, and there was my F in welding. And so my MBA program was like, "Hey, why do you have an F on your transcripts?" And so I had to jump through some hoops to be able to get into my MBA program. All that to say, this idea that dropping can be important. Again, if you're feeling overwhelmed, please let me know, and hopefully I can help walk you through it. We are fully online. This is our only class that we'll be doing like kind of live in person. But you saw already, you have seen there in Canvas in the modules, I have recorded lectures. Um, Again, if there's something missing or you need more information, I'm happy to share that with you. Please send me an email. Student learning outcomes. You should be learning this stuff when you come out of the class. I have to put this in here in the course description. Here's some helpful information. Um, like here's our 2nd-8 week dates. We're in here for only 8 weeks. This class will go by quickly. The refund date, the end of this week, dropping without a W, right? That date, dropping with a W, but maybe not an F, is this date. Um, I put these dates at the end on that last page as well. These are for reference. I do want you to confirm these dates in my site, but I find that just having an idea of when those dates happen is helpful for students to see. But realize that I'm human. I make mistakes too. So do confirm those dates if you're in a position where you can't finish the class. Here's my information, my email again, my phone number. If you give me a call, leave me a voicemail. I'm rarely sitting at my desk in my office at IBC, but here's a phone number. Again, if you want to talk, I can do a phone call. I can do a Zoom. We can schedule a time. Please send me an email and we'll touch base that way. Here is my office, physical office, and the times that I am sitting in that office, and then my Zoom hours as well on Wednesday. So hopefully what you're seeing here, I want to help you learn. My goal is to help you reach your goals. My whole job is about helping you learn. So hopefully what you're seeing here is a clear picture of what's required of you in this class. If you want to get an A in this class, I've showed you the points. And really, my suggestion is just stay on top of that weekly work. Once you get back a week, it just becomes that much harder to catch up the next week, especially in this short 8 week section. So hopefully, now hearing a little bit about me and my experience, seeing what's expected of you here on Canvas, and seeing the point structure and the timing, the due dates and all that stuff gives you a clear picture of how to meet your goals. Again, if your goal is to get an A, hopefully you have a clear line of sight on how to do that now. I haven't had one question in the chat, so I'm hoping that means I was just that clear. But if you do have questions, we'll hang out for a few more minutes here. Please do put that in the chat now. I'm going to pull off the syllabus there. Again, that syllabus is in Canvas, so you can download that and review that at your leisure. Any questions coming up here? I'll stop the recording in just a minute, and then we can chat, without a recording. But I just want to see if there were any general questions about the class, about the due dates, about the points, about, real estate questions, what you want to do. Oh, I almost forgot. Let me show you real quick the GRL, and then if you have questions, you can type those in real quick. Here we're back in our Canvas shell and our home page. The GRL system is right here. This will take you to another third-party website. Looks like this. So here's my information, right? If I'm going to log in under my account. If you're going to pay out of pocket using a credit card or bank card or some way, right? But you're paying out of your pocket, this is the cheapest option on this website to purchase the product here. If you happen to have credit at the IVC bookstore, maybe you're part of a college program, maybe financial aid, maybe, whatever that is, you get money from the college or through the bookstore. It is possible for you to buy access and you would type in the code here. It doesn't make sense to pay out of pocket at the bookstore because it takes longer to get that code if you're not standing there in line. And then also, it's more expensive in the bookstore. The bookstore has to make profit. You guys, if you are planning to pay out of pocket, you're basically getting that cost price here on this purchase button. So here's our first step. We're going to click on purchase. If you've had another class with me before, you've been in the system before, you can just log in and purchase a new section. But assuming we're starting from scratch, you'll see the institution here, Irvine Valley College. And then here's our publications. Practice or principles. So either one of those, right? Depending on which class you're taking. If you're taking practice, select practice. If you're taking principles, select principles. Click on next. And then please look at these dates, right? So here's our second 8 week sections, real principles. Select that one and next. A little bit slow, sorry about that. And then it's basically like buying anything else on a website. Plug in your information. You can use your IVC or your personal email address. It doesn't matter to me. Go ahead and use whatever email address that you use most frequently. This is kind of like your third-party purchase of a book, right? So however you want to get your communication with this company, use that email address here. So long as I can see your name, right? Here you go, first name, last name. You'll see there, that's how I'm going to associate your points between the GRL system and the Canvas system. So do make sure that your name can match, those two systems, but that's pretty much it. So this is how you buy the book. After you do that, you will log in using your email address, just like you saw my personal, my Gmail email address on that initial page when we opened that up. All right, so you know how to get into Canvas, you know how to get into GRL, you know how to earn your points. This week, please do get into GRL if it's at all possible. Start working on your chapter reading, your chapter quizzes. This week, it's Wednesday right now. Tomorrow is Thursday night, is your due date for your first discussion board post. I'll give you a little bit of leeway in the first week, but you saw the rubric and you saw the timing and you saw the quantity piece. And what I'm looking for really is the quality piece for those points. So again, hopefully it's a very clear expectation for you what to do this week. Discussion board post, get reading in your quizzes for this week. Get into Canvas. All right, I don't see any questions in the chat, so I'm going to go ahead and stop recording and then you can say whatever you want, and nobody will know. Hope you have a great night. Thank you for being here in person. Those of you that were able to make it, good turnout. Thanks for being here. And if you're watching this online, well, for all of you, I hope it's a great 8 weeks. I hope you find your passion in these classes on how you want to move forward with your real estate career. Thanks for being here.